We're joined live from Adamawa State by Sunday Wogira, who is a lawyer and political commentator, to help us find sense in what is now known as Edugate and all of the elements around it. Thank you, Wogira, for joining us on Good Morning. On Global Morning today. Great. So I want us to quickly take a look at this, especially from the standpoint of the fact that we've had two ministers in this ministry. I mean, that is the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation, been indicted on grounds that are very, very concerning. What exactly does this say about public office and, if you like, probity and accountability?
Well, it says a lot about the mindset and the preparedness of people managing public office. Trust, so to say. It boils down to trust and responsibility. A lot of us are going into government with the mindset that it is my turn to hammer, so to say. Or it is my turn also to dip my hands into the public till and also get a share of the national cake. Most people going into government are not going with the mindset of service, but rather it is a mindset that this is my turn and an opportunity. The Tinubu administration, as far as I'm concerned, lost it from the day the Minister of Culture and Tourism, Hannatu Musa Musawa, was discovered to be a serving corps member, yet nothing was done. So people like Beta Edu and the host of others in the government will have the impression that whatever it is, nothing will happen to us. And I think this is what is giving the government a lot of headache this time around.
Interesting. But let's quickly look at what some people now say is a missing factor in the equation of leadership, especially within the public space. They say, for the most part, these ministers and other members of the cabinet, those who play very important roles in government, are not giving the requisite orientation. For instance, they believe that the retreat that is held just following their inauguration is not far-reaching enough. They say it is superficial, it is more something they do, as the good book says, to fulfill our righteousness. What should political appointees know about public offices, especially as it has to do with their mandates and in particular their portfolio?
Well, I think, there could be a point there, but for the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, the ministry, she was a commissioner for 4 years in Cross River State. She was as well women leader, national women leader of the All Progressives Congress. So if she is being appointed as a minister, she does not need any retreat, honestly. What has she been doing, or what has she gained in the government of Professor Ben Ayade when she was commissioner? Was she not given responsibilities? Was she not presiding over affairs of the ministry, or was she a failure there? She's a medical doctor, for crying out loud. Has she not learned anything? As a woman, national woman leader, what has she been doing? Presiding over the affairs of women in the party, so pretending over 36 states of the federation and the FCT, interfacing with the president and the party chairman as the leader of the party. There are lots and lots of issues. So as a minister, I am sure, yes, if one is coming as a novice, he needs orientation. Yes, even if one is having all the experiences in this world, one needs to update. But you see, there is no retreat that can help rearrange the mind of a deranged person who is there with a mindset of, I am here to get what I can get. That is just the issue.
Quite disturbing, no doubt about that. I asked that question because this same minister had been on a TV station, national television, just a few months ago, and while apparently trying to present the blueprints or some sort of action plan of her ministry, had said her ministry would create 10 million jobs. And that became a talking point in some circles because the curiosity now was, how would such a ministry that is not even revenue generating, basically, all right, create 10 million jobs? If you're saying, well, we intend to support 10 million households in specific areas, maybe sanitary issues, maybe issues around basic necessities, that is probably reasonable, understandable, but not saying you are going to create 10 million jobs. So let's talk about clarity of purpose. Let's talk about priority, especially within public space.
Well, I think that is also part of the challenge. We really don't always look at the bigger problem. For the minister to even start thinking of creating jobs, it shows that she has derailed from her duties, the functions of her ministry. Her ministry is not to create jobs. Her ministry is to cushion the effect of poverty on people, and if they are to come up with a plan of how to create jobs, they must work in tandem with other job creating agencies or ministries, to ensure that they don't go outside of their sphere of influence or jurisdiction, so to say. But for someone to just sit down and start thinking about creating 10 million jobs, I think that person needs help at that material moment, because either the president should have drawn her attention to the fact that, look, you are going into areas you ought not to go. And I believe the time has come for the president to look at someone or an agency that will be assessing the performance of the ministers on a day-to-day basis, vis-a-vis their pronouncements in the public, their actions and plans, as it were. So, secondly, the ministry as it is must also be looked into, because we have seen in its short lifespan how the ministry has been engulfed in lots and lots of corrupt practices and crisis that is untoward. Now, you see, when you are to distribute food and aid to the poor, most of these poor people do not even have bank accounts, and you give them money on a monthly basis. You feed people. It is not like structures, or let's take an example, the Ministry of Works, where you are going to build roads, houses and whatever. And these houses will be there for physical inspection. It is unlike the Ministry of Education, where you have schools, you have teachers that you train, you build their capacity. There are classrooms, teaching aid, laboratories, libraries, and whatever. Even the students, they have hostels, you power classrooms with power, water, and whatever. So these are things that you get to see. These are things that you can put your hands and say, yes, for a population of such a number, they can take like 2 million liters per annum. And to provide water of this magnitude, of this quantum, this is at least the amount of money that is required to do that. And so to say, there are vehicles to run. The Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs do not build roads, do not build houses, do not do anything. They provide succor to the poor and the afflicted. So all that you need to do is to just have documents that, yes, we bought so number of rice. So if you can conspire, amongst yourselves with suppliers and distributors, service providers, or whatever, you can pile even debt on the government that does not even exist. So that is the fundamental area that breeds corruption. So if the mode of operation of the ministry is not changed, we will continue to have problems. And we have seen that in these 5 years, instead of even reducing the level of poverty around, the hunger and deprivation, it is on the increase. So I think something must give it. The ministry, the government as it is, must sit down and take a different approach. Why don't we find a way to empower these people instead of just feeding them continuously? Because there is a limit to an aid that it will become a burden on you that is providing, because you will create a dependent generation. You know, people that will believe that I don't have to work because food will be brought to me at my doorstep, you know, and continuously. So, but when you say that, look, we are not going to provide feeding beyond 2024, what we are going to do while we are feeding you, we are also going to find a way to empower you, you know, establish cottage industries for you, that at the end of the day, from 2025, we will monitor how you are going to feed yourself from the process of the cottage industries that we provided for you. It is your own, and you are the workers at the same time. We will just supervise for a period of, let's say, 4 or 5 years again, to see how well you have managed the production, you know, the accountability process and whatever, the marketing and the rest. At the end of the day, government will begin to have money from income tax and also revenues, you know, value-added taxes on products from this cottage industry. But you see, because somebody does not want a situation where people must be empowered, people must be economically free, because when you create a dependent generation, it translates to bulk votes, so to say, because someone will just come with bags of rice and say this is where to go during election. So I think the government of President Bola Tinubu must think outside of the box now, and using Beta Edu and her successor, her predecessor, as an example.
You talked about the minister a while ago, the lady minister who is said to be serving in the Tinubu government while at the same time still a member, serving core member. All right. And then that's on the one hand. On the other hand, we understand that the allegations around Beta Edu have also rubbed off on Minister of Interior, Dr. Olubunmi Tunji-Ojo, for obvious reasons. All of the consultancy fee for a company where he is said to be a director, even though the Minister of Interior had come out to say, look, I divested from that company 5 years before I came. 5 years ago, before I came into politics and so on and so forth. But do you see any sort of double standard in this, especially the allegation, or as it is now, the fact that there's a minister in the government still serving, and then there's another minister who's accused of financial misappropriation. So one is, different treatment for the same ailments. Is that how you see it?
Well, he may not be a director in the company now, so to say, but still he has a nexus. There is a nexus between him and the company. His wife, his children are directors of the company. And the question to ask is, would that company be given that consultancy job if he were not a minister? That question is fundamental, so it is just a way of
Okay, that's us there losing stream, video stream.
What are they?
Yes, go ahead, please.
We need to look into these issues critically, because
we have to get a better stream from Sunday Wugira now. Just trying to establish what we call the nexus.
Yeah.
Please, can you go ahead and just complete that narrative of yours?
All right. The issue is, can the minister in all sense of responsibility and uprightness, said that totally he has no nexus with that company. Yes, legally he has resigned from the company years ago. But we can't take away the fact that he is also part of the company morally, because his wife and children are there as directors of the company. So the meeting of the company takes place in his house. And we need to ask this question sincerely. If we are serious as a people, would the company have been shortlisted and given this company, I mean this consultancy contract, if he were not a minister? It is fundamental that we ask this, and we have answers too.
Interesting times, no doubt about that. Because I mean, when you look at the whole situation now, to use your words, there's also a nexus between the developments around Betta Edu, as just in relation to what we had also seen with Sadiya Umar Farouk, her predecessor. Do you think there's something peculiar about our ministry that's creating this trajectory?
Of course, like I said earlier, it is obvious, because that company, the ministry, if you look at their modus operandi and their mission and vision, the purpose of their existence is to provide succor. They are not to even build houses or anything. They are to just provide cushioning effect to those that are vulnerable, displaced persons, and those that are afflicted. So when you eat food, when you are given water, when you are given blanket, when you are given mattresses or sheets of roofing sheets and whatever, or cement or whatever to help in building your house, all that is needed to show that these things actually happened is just to line people, bring photographs with blurred faces, and all you need to do is to say it is just an amateur photographer, and receipts from vendors, and money is gone. No one will be there to link what was given actually and what was given on paper. So it gives room for corrupt practices. It gives room for embezzlement. It gives room for fraud. You know, when you are given food and you ate the food, all that is left to show that yes, food was given yesterday is just the receipt of purchases and photographs of, because when you are giving this food to people, nobody signs. Yeah, and even if people signs, when you are giving money to people, it is not given through banks, because most of these people living in rural areas, they don't have banks. So you pay the money through someone's account or a company's account, you know, and that person disburses the money and comes back with whatever, that no one can go back and start auditing. So the ministry is a cesspool of corruption because of the way and manner it is put in place and operates.
Let's talk about the fact that these two cases now, I mean, those of Umar Farouk and Edu, are now with the EFCC, Nigeria's frontline anti-corruption agency. Do you see any difference fundamentally with these cases as against several other cases we had seen in the past?
Well, we live to see. This is a new leadership, and we are praying that it doesn't get in the way of the past and the others, his predecessors. I hope and pray that he is different and he means what he says and say what he means and do as well. The
Let's
challenge
wrap
is
it up quickly.
the
Yeah, I was
EFCC
going to.
operators are
Yeah,
still
go
there
ahead. Go ahead.
that were there before. I hope that they have a new orientation, believing that the new leadership comes with a difference. But my own is that I am approaching, or I am adopting a see-don't-look approach to all these things. Let us see how it pans out.
Okay, so on the final notes now, Wugira, I want us to talk about the ministry itself being very pivotal, very central to the federal government's social investment programs. I mean, all of those initiatives about lifting millions of Nigerians out of poverty, reaching out to the poorest of the poor, and so on and so forth. How can we rejig? How can we better, if you like, position all of these initiatives around social investments in such a way that we can be seeing concrete, measurable, real-time, tangible impacts?
Well, nobody is lifted out of poverty by way of receiving handouts. In fact, people will be plunged into deeper and greater poverty when you are given the impression that you can live on handout for the rest of your life. If I will have food, clothing, and shelter for free every day, why do I have to work hard? You know, particularly amongst the people that are largely uneducated, unskillful, they have no dreams. Their dream is to live no matter what through the next day. People that are devoured by diseases and lots more. So what we need to do is the rejigging in the ministry is to put a timeline to humanitarian aid. We are going to provide food to these people. We have a social register, if truly it is a register that is social, containing the vulnerables in the land, if not children or mistresses of those in authority or party chieftains. So I think that the appropriate thing to do is for the ministry to have a timeline of its existence. We are going to provide food, aid, and whatever to the afflicted and the weak, the displaced, and those who are displaced. Why can't we, even if they cannot go back to their original settlement where they were displaced, why can't we find a permanent place for them and then give them skills, you know, train them? For the children, let us put in place a program where government will take over their education. And the kind of education we're going to give these people should not just be the ordinary education that we give to the everyday child in Nigeria. We have to make sure that we give them vocational education, and we top that with entrepreneurial skills, because when you produce something, you should also have the capacity to market these things you produce, so that you sell. You sit down and you articulate issues. So we are providing a special breed of people out of their misfortune that will be better Nigerians, and then Nigeria as a whole can take a template from the special education and training that is given to them. So when you give someone food to survive while he is receiving training, after he is trained, he is to be on his own. Perhaps you just help him with kits to establish, and then you supervise, not that you continue to give him aid. That is what the ministry should do. No ministry should be there forever to be dispensing food and aid to people. Giving somebody 5,000 naira, 10,000 naira, 20,000 naira at the end of every month will never take him out of poverty, but will rather deepen his poverty, because you are killing his spirit to rise and stand on his own.
Thank you so much, Sunday Wugira, lawyer and public affairs commentator, for joining us live from Yola Adamawa State this morning.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure.
And that's how we wrap it up this Friday on Global Morning. Remember that the views of our guests on all our programs are their opinions. I'm Uyag Mofwegbe, thanking you on behalf of the production team and the entire staff here at Global Television in Abuja.